Inovação, segurança,
programação,
tecnologia,
desenvolvimento.
Começa aqui.
Let's begin.
DevSecOps. O seu podcast de segurança em tecnologia.
Hi everyone, I'm very pleased to start another episode in English. It's already very happiness for us. Usually we are doing in Portuguese, but as I told you before, I was doing some spoilers for our audience that we will have more episodes in English, especially with some guests. And today is one of this kind of episodes. Yeah, remember that we are in the 4th season already, so come back to the past and you have not thousands, I'm kidding, but you have more than 100 episodes already to listen and to understand and to learn a bit of cybersecurity, to learn a bit of application security. Yeah? I'm Cássio Pereira.
I'm Mark Santos.
And I am Rodrigo Balbino.
Beautiful English of my boys. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of them. Before we introduce our guest of today, which is a very nice guest, actually, I would say a friend. It's like that he didn't come to my house yet, but one day, let's see. But before we introduce our guest, I want to talk about our partners, let's say. And first of all is, remember that the DevSecOps podcast has the support from Checkmarx and Nova 8. They are specialized in security and system security and development, secure development. The link of Nova 8, they distribute Checkmarx in Brazil. It's on the description of this video on the YouTube and also on devsecopspodcast.com.br on our website. Also, Contabilidade Olímpia, que é especializada em profissionais da área de TI. Se você precisar abrir a sua empresa ou migrar de contabilidade, entre em contato com o pessoal da Contabilidade Olímpia, que estão prontos para te atender. Contabilidade Olímpia, é óbvio, só atende Brasil, por isso que o anúncio é em português. And remind you also that we have a new partner, which is Gold Security. And they are specialists actually in application security. They are quite new in the business. And if you want to develop, let's say, safe code, talk to the Gold Security. Yeah. Okay, guys, this is the main introduction a bit, but now I would like to give the shine, let our guests to talk a bit. So, Pawel, welcome to our podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for your time. And let's discuss a bit about our main topic today. We will introduce in a moment, but please talk about yourself, present yourself to the people. Again, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Pawel Piwosz. I am based in Krakow in Poland. 25 years in IT already, so a lot, I think. Right now, I am the DevOps engineer, lead system engineer at EPAM Systems, where I lead the DevOps Academy, where we also focus on the security, what is strange maybe for some people. And I'm part of the consulting team where we try to help other companies to grow, to find the improvements, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, that's basically it.
Good. Thank you again for coming. Very welcome to our episode. And just remember, he mentioned that he's from EPAM Systems. EPAM System was the first company abroad Brazil that refused me. They said, no, you are too junior to work in our company. But it wasn't Pawel. That's okay.
It wasn't me.
It was your fault. Okay, guys. So today, our episode, we will be mainly talking about infrastructure as a code and kind of how we secure this kind of, let's say, code itself. How it's the approach, what kind of tools, best practice, problems that we may have. And I would start talking. I would make a question for Marcus because Marcus likes to talk about tools and so on. So I would say, Marcus, what do you use today to protect your infrastructure as a code, for example? Do you have any tool in mind that comes for you?
Yes, I have one tool when I use today. Is a Checkmarx Kicks. It's an open source tool. Okay, and I'm used to protect my codes. For example, my Terraform files, Docker files, Kubernetes, Open APIs, and other files when I created. And for me, it's a good solution, but it's the only when I have knowledge to talk about.
Okay, good enough. So people listening, they
Yeah.
already have something to do, like try Kicks at least. It's a very good tool actually on the market, open source. Besides from Checkmarks, everything from Checkmarks is quite expensive, but anyway, we have an open source solution. But okay, to start good our episode, like Pavel, what do you'd say, as you mentioned, like you are a DevOps lead, kind of, and interesting, with this link with security. Yeah, so actually it's very, I mean, from security perspective, it's very good. So you can introduce security on the DevOps for the people, for the teams and so on. It's very good, this concern. So what kind of activities, what kind of things you really do, especially from this infrastructure as a code side? Yeah, could you give some shine of this?
Yeah, that's a very good start of the discussion, really, because if we think how the code of the application reach cloud, let's say cloud, right? Because we talk mainly about clouds. There is some infrastructure first, right? There need to be something like containerization, orchestration, or virtual machine, or whatever else, right? Networking, where you put this code to work. It means that even before you start scanning the code, do sonar, whatever else, right? You need to scan your infrastructure because you are pushing this infrastructure first. And how many of the organization teams really do that? Right? This is the question. I'm still afraid that not that much, right? Especially looking on different discussion on the different places, different events. What I can say, yes, it's more and more the understanding of the problems, potential problems with infrastructure as code is bigger and bigger. So that's a good sign, right? But still, this is a problem. And I say that if you find any vulnerability or any misconfiguration of your cloud construction, right? Generally through the Terraform, CloudFormation, RM, whatever else, it is already too late if you find it in the cloud, right? Example, I learned, like, I think today or yesterday, that someone found in a Python repository 57 AWS keys and secret keys which were working.
Actually, this is a common problem.
Yes. And the same happens when we talk about, for example, Terraform or CloudFormation, right? I am the AWS guy, so that's why I will mention CloudFormation many times.
Yeah.
So when you build your script, your template, it's very easy and very tempting for the so-called test phase to say, all right, I will open this SSH to Word just to, just for myself, just for 5 minutes, right? And 5 years later, this open SSH still is there, right? So finding this on the beginning of the road is very important, right? And this put the security of infrastructure as code into very bright light in DevOps world. And I want to do some step back at this point, because we say DevOps, we say DevSecOps, right? Honestly speaking, I hate the form DevSecOps. And I tell you why.
DevSecOps podcast, so we need to change this name, guys.
But I tell you why. So maybe you will agree with me. Maybe.
Let's see.
In DevOps, we have this framework called COLMS, right? There's 5 letters: culture, automation, lean, measurements, and sharing. And I'm really vote for a little change in that. This S, sharing, this is part of the culture, honestly speaking. This S should mean security, right? And in that form, we have this DevSecOps, right, in the bigger picture. But going back to infrastructure as code, the point is that very often people don't use it because when they scan just for their curiosity the templates, especially bigger templates, they found like hundreds of misconfigurations, right? Smaller, bigger, doesn't matter. But now the point is that someone needs to fix it. And this become kind of problem, especially how to explain to the managers that I need to have time to fix the templates. And sometimes even this will be a breaking change. Unfortunately, how to say that I have my RDS database in Amazon, right, which is working for 5 years, and right now I have to delete this database because I need to encrypt it. Which company will go with that? Right? So, the problem is, as usual, if you start with this as early as possible, you will avoid a lot of problems which are in the code very easy to fix, right? But in the process, in the daily routine of the organization, sometimes even impossible to change.
Very good introduction. So now we already know that we need to change the name of podcast.
No, don't do that.
It's okay for this.
No, but very good point. For example, especially on this, because there is this approach of shifting left. Yes, shift left, shift left, shift left. Okay, it's a nice approach when you think about the security, like pen testing. People do pen testing in the end of the process in production and so on. Then, okay, we start shifting left to put security on the process itself on the leftiest possible. But when you talk about, from my perspective, when you talk about code of application itself, or even on the infrastructure side, the most left possible, when you talk about application, I would say that they are the requirements. Yeah, you have the software requirements that one day they will become code. So if these requirements already have some kind of security or security requirements like together, would be the best way. Yeah? But when you talk about infrastructure as a code, you don't have the big requirements. You just have, okay, I need 1 server, 2 servers, 3 machines, this network, and so on and so on. And the most left for this, it's like the IDE itself. When you are creating your recipes or your scripts, so that's why I would say like kinds of links or some kind of SaaS solutions like Kix, for example, or other tools that you're not going to mention, would be kind of not a routine, but something that needs to be executed like as soon as you save the file, like the most early possible, as you mentioned. Because if you do all your script after, then you have thousands of lines, which means thousands of possible vulnerabilities. And then who's going to fix this? But if you save your file, you scan, you're going to find 1 vulnerability, 2. Then it's easier to fix, even for you as a developer and so on. So as I was mentioning, so as soon as you've saved the file, or even about a link, for example, would be good to have some kind of scan and so on. So then you don't have thousands of vulnerabilities, but 1 or 2, which is make your life easier as a developer, as a scripter, and so on. And that would be the perfect scenario, as you could introduce it, how is your activities daily and things that you must do. And I would ask Rodrigo, what kind of noise, as a developer that you were and I was, so on, what kind of noise you think that this kind of tools can make? Yeah, because security is always like this, an exchange. You have the security in order to handle something. So imagine a link popping up for you. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. How you feel about this?
Yeah, to development, I see some problems to do this in the runtime. When you write some codes, sometimes you write just the model or a small part of the code, and you don't see everything. You don't see all the structure. You see the kind of the small part of your code. So many times we will see links talk about I don't find this configuration or missing configuration or some vulnerabilities. Maybe if you don't have this very structured, you will have many
Too much
troubles with
noise.
this. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Okay.
Sorry, Casio,
So
but,
this
but this is very
brings.
good point. But
Go on.
with infrastructure
Go
as
on.
code, it works a little bit differently, because most of the tools are doing the checks based on the resource block, right? And when you put this resource block, this is also, and let's say this resource block is heavily parameterized. Using these linters, these checks, you can also validate this one resource you wrote already, right, on the start. So this is the difference between, for example, static code analysis for the application code, which is scanning not only by detail but also through the whole scope. And here we talk about very like focused scans. For example, if you write the template for the resource called S3 bucket, it is completed in 5 lines maximum, right? And you can already scan it. And you will hear from the scanner that there is no logging, there is no encryption, there is no versioning, etc., etc. You can add this like from really the point zero of your work, right? So in this case, it's even simpler than for the regular developer.
Good. Very good point, because as I was mentioning, we are too much focused on SaaS solutions, and they work exactly like this. They don't see big picture, and these links can be kind of noisy, which is a problem, depends on the developer and so on. But as you mentioned, Pawel, like, okay, guys, you have a small block of code, and this specific tool like Kicks and others, they will focus on this part and already bring for you solutions for this. I used to say, you kill the vulnerability before it borns. Like it's the moment to find the vulnerability where it borns. Yeah? So I would say that's the best part. Go on, Marcus. You want to say something?
I have one question to Pawel. I think it's a good question, but what's the most common vulnerabilities when you see in the codes, for example, in the solutions? Because I have some vulnerabilities, which is the most common in Brazil, and in your vision, Europe
I
is
believe
a
this
good
is
point.
like the type of vulnerabilities is really multicultural, and they are everywhere.
They cross boundaries.
Honestly, I think the most, depends also a little depends on the scanner, because different scanners are focused on different elements. But generally, the most common, which I see in surrounding repositories, surrounding templates, and sometimes very often in mine, when I start my work and I scan my templates, just after I started my work, this is the very important, just after, right? I can see 3 of them. First is the encryption, right? Encryption of everything, really. RDS databases, EBS volumes. I'm still in AWS scope. Encrypted traffic to load balancers, for example, etc., etc. Sometimes we can say this is false positive, right? Sometimes, but good to know that. Second type is especially in AWS is about S3. All scanners are very sensitive about this. So versioning of the files, logging, additional logging to of everything what's going on around S3 bucket. What else? Encryption as well, right? For the S3 bucket, those are very popular one. Popular, like yeah.
Come on.
And the third one are about the security group, right? That security groups are too open. This is the very common scenario, and we can say that every one of us did that in our work, right? Because this is very common. We do this very often, right? And it's really good to have this scanner even in the pipeline For example, my last implementation of GitHub Actions is related to scan the Terraform templates in the pull request time, right? And even if developer will do the scan on their local machine, right? Honestly, me as a DevOps, I don't care if this works on your machine, right? I care if this works on the process from the CI/CD part, etc., etc., etc. And I'm doing those scans, unit tests, code coverage, everything else on CI/CD pipelines. Not only because I don't believe developers, because I don't believe developers, right? But also
Yes, nobody should.
of
My
course,
machine
right?
works, no?
But also
Exactly.
because this built the understanding how the process works, how the team performs, how the process is able to catch, and how early is able to catch some things, right? And I build the trend, I build the history, I build the knowledge base using this approach for others to simply learn, right, and improve the work.
Good. And you, Marcus, what's the most common vulnerability that you get?
I have the same when Pawel. Encryption. All the people
Cross-border.
in Brazil no put encryption in the templates. It's terrible.
Lose performance.
Yes.
Yeah?
The second is misconfiguration, or don't put the version of. For example, you need to install a MySQL. The people don't put the version. Use the latest. It's terrible. Need to put the version. And the third is the question is a group, a security group. All the people in Brazil put a open IP, or don't put a group security, don't put load balance.
Default ports and so on.
Yeah.
I would add one on this list, which is pretty common
Yes.
also, is root user. Yeah.
It's very
A
common.
lot of people, especially Docker files and so on, if you don't specify, I think, depends on the version, it already set up for the root one, but even people like to put the root one. It's even worse.
The last week I take one template to review, and I scan in the kicks, and they show for me client secret and client password is open in hard text inside the template.
Context. Yeah, good.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
We love this kind of information sharing.
knowledge sharing.
Sharing, as Pavel mentioned.
I think about more misconfigurations of a huge problem. We can see more and more developments and newer developers, and don't like to read the documentation.
Docs.
Yeah, and they just they put the thing in, make the work. Okay, this working in now. This fine.
That's fine.
So, and I see that many people using templates for everything. So when I think about this, okay, the developers need to make create the configuration file to infrastructure. They don't configure it more. Just
They don't
want
use
to
best practices.
yeah.
For example.
So I think everything I think about the IaC. Yeah, IaC. I think about okay, maybe this will be a huge problem with misconfiguration.
That's good.
Actually, it is.
And I have one question about this. What's the best practice to Pawel to put in the pipeline or the template? What's the best practice when we talking about infrastructure as a code?
So we have the tendency, and even there is a kind of movement to say you write it, you own it, you run it, etc., etc. So you are responsible for every single step in the process. But for example, let us think about one thing: why GitHub doesn't allow you, author of the commit, to do the review of your commit? Why? You run it, you own it. What's the problem, right? But the point is, you need to have some kind of check, not because someone will look for your mistake, but because another pair of eyes may catch something what is very important, right? And the same should happen here. So we have people who are responsible for creating and let's boldly say harden the CI/CD pipeline, right? And all of those scanning of everything really, of course everything what is possible at that point, should be as early as possible. There should be a second step in each pipeline, because first step of each pipeline is to collect the code, right? So as early as you are able to scan whatever is possible, it's better for everyone, right? Because the cost of fixing the issue grows with every single step of the process, right? So if you find something on the end of the process, probably you need to revert or fix a lot more. You spend a lot more time. You need to use a lot more, developers, DevOps, security guys, etc., to fix this. Then, when you find like simple, small problem on the beginning, right? So this is also form of shift left in CI/CD, I would say, but as early as possible. Right?
And I would add something like, for example, we also talk. I mean, there's a lot of talking about best practices in general, and especially about tooling. Yeah, people, what tool I use, what tool to do this, what tool to do that, and there is flavor, all the kind of flavors of tooling, from open source to enterprise, for homemade ones. It doesn't matter. I think the most important as a best practice, I would recommend something, if it's possible, like know the fundamentals of the things. What do you need to worry about? What do you need to protect? What like, for example, Pawel mentioned that he have found files with a bunch of keys. Like, it's kind of obvious for us that keys shouldn't be plain text in a config file, but maybe for the developer somehow it's not obvious. Should be. It's another discussion, but should be obvious, but maybe it's not. Okay, how we fix this problem? Because this is shift left. This guy will not create the vulnerability, either on the application, either on the infrastructure. So kind of education, trainings, this kind of, like, we do meetups, and these things that will engage people, that will talk about this more, kind of campaigns on the companies, like gamification, workshop, whatever. Because the thing is, all this tooling and everything, they will never be enough to catch all the possible problems.
And, never, because
they will never
we still are a little bit smarter than machines. And with this ChatGPT, we are still a little bit smarter. At least with finding, the ways which no one expected to be there, even, right? So this is very important point. And with infrastructure as code, there is another topic which is even more heavy in terms of tooling, processes, etc. It's called drift, right? So with the template, it's quite simple. Well, I would like to see this as a very simple, but honestly, it is, right? We have a lot of open source scanners which we can add to the pipelines to pull requests to IDEs, but by adding one line, and that's it, right? For sure, not 100% problems will disappear, but if this will be 80%, we are 80% better than we were, right?
Yes.
But with drifts, it's a little bit more complicated, because there is always some root. There is always someone with elevated privileges. There is always someone who can go into account in AWS, Azure, GCP, whatever else, and just do the small modification, right? And make a lot of shit. In our beautifully created, very carefully crafted, secure template, right? Because this person did it on the live organism. And what is that with that, right? So this is problematic, because in this point we have three elements. We have our template, we have our state, let's say about Terraform, but CloudFormation also have some kind of has some kind of state, and we have the real infrastructure, right? So we have three part of the equation which we need to continuously, and I mean it, continuously check if they are the same, right? What is very hard. I mean, there are tools for it,
Yes.
but still they are not that popular. No, it's a challenge for many teams.
Yeah.
In the end, the problem is the people. No? You need to the persons knowing about this, knowing that the how to works, how to create. The people need to learn more about the security. No? You maybe have all the kind of the tools for to molding and protecting your infrastructure, but if the people don't use well, all the things is
Yeah, as Pavel mentioned, there is always a hood, and there is I was in kind of a presentation or something, and the question was, who watches the watcher?
It's a good point.
Because it's like this: like there is a DBA, yeah, his database administrator. He has full fucking access to the database. Who watches what he does? That's why we have audit logins and monitoring all other things, because someone needs this access, even if it's a service account, but someone must do something. And how will we watch this? And in DevOps or DevSecOps, as Pavel don't like, it's actually is like this. Who runs the pipeline? Who has power to disable the security testing, for example? And okay, I need to go with this deployment, so let me make this pipeline faster. So let me disable some testing here. White testing, we test in production.
Yeah.
Good. Is there? So I think this drift, as Pavel mentioned, would be kind of or it is kind of a trending on this topic of IaC, or it's something already people are using.
The problem
How
here
is
is,
this?
as you mentioned, this is the problem with people. It's not the problem with the tool set we use, the languages we use. This is the problem with people, that people tend to let's say go to another lane in the road where the pipeline exists and just overtake everything, right? And go shortcuts. And this is really related to education. Because we can have tools, we can have a lot of tools, but there will be no tool which will check the vulnerability or misconfigurations, more misconfigurations than vulnerabilities, in every second, right? Because it's impossible, and you know better than me how quick many of those misconfigurations are catched by people, right? So I have an example in my career that I started Elasticsearch, and it was many years ago when the Elasticsearch was not, I would say, not very fond of security. I mean, it was open, right? And the problem was that when you started the server, it was open the world. And we had a couple of servers, all of them were behind the firewall. But the one which I used wasn't. It was less than 10 minutes that it was taken by someone, right? So, it's really quick, right? So, education, again, this education will or is part of shift left, right? It's not only to give the responsibility or duty and stay with the heavy stick on next to someone and you didn't do that and hit him, right? It's also give them the understanding why this is important ownership of this importance, really. And I think that the keyword here is this ownership. It's not just you own it, you run it. No, because I own it, I run it, but the company is not mine. So why should I care?
Yeah, exactly. So in the end of the day, if something happened, you just say fuck it. I will find another job. The company has a answer.
Exactly.
Stop
And,
the production
you can always
or whatever.
say that I've done everything with my best knowledge, right? And this will be very often very true, right? Because those people do not have these tools called knowledge, right? And they do not feel the ownership, and the ownership is built with knowledge. So
Good. We have now second keyword for the podcast. All the 3 seasons, the keyword was culture.
Yeah.
Like people must have the culture to use security and to know. So now ownership, I think it's one good keyword also. 2 keywords for us. And I would put a good point about this as well, which is we are talking about tooling and so on. But tools are for scale to make things faster and so on. What tools do you use for scanning this kind of files and codes? What's the most common? We know a lot about Kicks because we work with Kicks and so on, but which one do you use? Which one you recommend for our audience that you must try or you must buy? I don't know.
Right, this is a very good question, and as you mentioned at the beginning, there is a lot of tools around, right? And I think the most popular triage for especially for Terraform is Chekhov, TFSec, and Terrascan. They are all open source. Chekhov is owned by Bridgecrew, TFSec by Aqua, and Terrascan by Tenablu, if I remember correctly. They have like a paid versions, more fancy, etc. But what is the beauty of those free tools, and not only of these free tools, there are many more, is that really there is only one line needed in your pipeline to start scanning, to publish report, to stop your pipeline or reject pull request if there are errors, right? And also all those scanners give you the insights where you have the issue, what the issue is, and where you can find the fixing solution. So everything is on the silver plate, right? So this help a lot, right? There are tools like, and here we are talking specifically about the infrastructure as code, but Chekhov can also scan GitHub Actions, Kubernetes, Helm charts, right? It can scan those things in one shot, right? So you have big repository with everything done, and that's it. Because we talk about infrastructure as code, and we have in mind that we have this infrastructure on AWS, Azure, VMware, doesn't matter. That we create some resources, some instances, some virtual machine, maybe serverless, databases, networks, etc. But CI/CD today is also a code, pipeline as code, right? And this thing is under the same scope of scanning of security like infrastructure as code. Because what is the difference if we have access key in our Terraform template or in our GitHub action template? There is no difference.
Exactly. It's the same.
Data leakage is the same.
If you don't want to put some the security in your process, or you don't want to know, don't want to do this, or don't know enough. No? It's so easy to put some. You put some one line into in your process,
you are an insider.
And this is very simple start. Then we have other tools like Snyk, like Aqua has, like the big tools which can try even to care about those drifts, right? honestly speaking, I never use any of this on the production environment. I tested them, but I didn't use on production environment. However, they are very powerful and very expensive. That's a different story. But starting simple, step by step. It's not the point to be on the biggest hill of the world like that, right? Because it's impossible. The point is to be step by step closer to this peak.
Exactly.
And
You must start somehow.
yes. One small thing interesting about Chekhov. I know that it sounds like a marketing bubble, but
No worries.
Also Chekhov can create the output in the Cyclone.dx format. So we have already stuff for S-bombs, which becomes more and more important in our work, right?
Exactly.
So
It's the next big topic about S-bombs and so on.
Exactly. This is not the S-bomb. It's as we understand this, SCAs, right? But still, the format is there, so we can use this in all those toolchain we have and we use for SCAs, right? So.
I saw today kind of a presentation that was like, okay, we already accepted the shift left, but now we need to accept the shift everywhere. And the picture was from repository to cloud directly, because it's like this: commit, push, already something deployed somewhere in the cloud or whatever it is, and this is the scenario. Actually, when you think about CI/CD process, I would say that this kind of GitHub Actions and so on, they're kind of killing this. They are part of the concept of CI/CD, but they're kind of killing this. Yes, you don't need to configure this step. Instead, you have this is your code. We're gonna build for you and deploy somewhere, right? Let's say in a quicker way. So this shift everywhere or shifting left and so on, actually it fits, because it's something like, okay, now you don't have more control on anything. Yeah? And after your IDE, you already have in production.
And this picture is wrong, when you talk about the security everywhere, and this is don't start in the repository. They start in design. When you talk about the design of your product, you talk about the security,
threat modeling and everything.
But for me, when you need to start in the acknowledgement, you need to improve acknowledgement in the developers, in the artists,
and so on.
Education. And I have a question because of this. Where is the best place to find the education, acknowledgement about the infrastructure as a code? Because we have a problem with SAST, for example. Casio is it created so many curses to people studying SAST because we don't have no curse. And for you, Pavel, where is the best place to find this acknowledgement?
Is there any?
But we have so many communities when talking about.
The knowledge is there, but still a little bit shattered, right? We are right now with understanding and growing the knowledge about S-bombs, like we were with the security of infrastructure as code, like I think no more than last year or maybe 2 years ago, really, right? So there were tools, there were approaches, there were ideas, but there were maybe even trainings about that. But honestly speaking, most of the knowledge I have was from googling, reading the documentation and implement it, right? So I have like a couple of dozen pipelines in different systems to see how those tools can work, right? And also AWS has a very nice tools for I will not name it like dynamic scans, but almost, right? It is the tool which will take your template and based on injected variables to this template will create the infrastructure somewhere on site, right? And having this somewhere else than in your production, etc., you can do scans there in the living organism, really, with the application already there, and then just close everything automatically, right? Of course, the process is longer than just simple static scan.
Yes.
That's obvious, but there is a cost.
Kind of a honeypot for IaC.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also what is quite important, I know that people who are using Terraform, they use Terraform plan with the output very often, right? It become like standard in this world of people who are using Terraform. But for CloudFormation, we do not have the plan like Terraform plan, but we have something what is called change set, which we can generate something very similar, right? And this change set can be also under the very careful scope and lens to check what's going on there. So that's my recommendation. Start using change sets. Even disable the possibility for developers and DevOps, etc., to use AWS CloudFormation update. Just use AWS CloudFormation, create change set and execute change set, right? And this leads to another topic, really, this access management, right? This is another story. I would say this is the fourth biggest misconfiguration of the cloud that we give.
Everybody has access to everything.
Exactly. And when we play with some stuff, right? It's okay to put the asterisk, right? So we have full access to everything. That's okay. You are testing. You're supposed to remove this very quickly. I feel that I said that blasphemy right now, that this is okay. But in normal circumstances, it happens very often, right? So
that stays there forever.
Exactly, and this is a big problem as well, right? Because of course, there can be like a devil's advocate who will say, I have access to some resource, so I will step by step will access to everything, right? But it will take time, definitely more time. To explore, to find everything, every policies, every accesses, than if you have this in one simple snippet, right? So it's not only about the like a total protection of or before the attack will happen. It's also about the slow down the attacker as much as possible.
Exactly. I always say that the security is not about you stop any attack. It's to make harder for the hacker until he gave up on you and he goes to your neighbor. So you make hard enough so he will, okay, no, these guys are too much protected. Doesn't mean you are 100 protected. This just means that he don't have enough time or resources to keep the attack on you. So he will go to your neighbor or something.
It's very easy.
Guys, times fly, so we are in the end. Good. It was very good episode, despite the problems, but we are
Sorry
here.
for that.
No problems. Pawel, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Despite the sharing can be a problem, but knowledge is not a problem.
Sharing is not the problem.
But anyway, you're invited again for next episode and so on. We can discuss any topics.
I'd be happy to.
I mean, again, and big thanks from the team. If you want, give some goodbye, any other recommendations, links, projects, whatever you can say.
Social networks.
Yes.
Let's go.
That's. I'll be happy to connect with every one of you on LinkedIn, and please explore my framework about CI/CD. And I have this framework in my mind through the whole episode right now, because I remember two things about this. I put security on the end of this framework on purpose. To say about security on the end, and to say that every time security is of the end of everything. But if I say this about the last thing with this sentence, it will stay in minds of the people who attend to the event.
Yes.
And also, I finally last month, I think I updated this framework with security, and in fact, it became the biggest branch of my mind map. So it was quite interesting. So the URL is very simple: cicd.run. So we don't even need to put it in the writing. So
Easy.
yeah, that was marketing speech, right? Thank you for this opportunity. Right,
Good.
but thank you very much for inviting me. It was really a pleasure to meet you and talk with you. Hope that it was interesting for the audience as well.
We'll see when we go publish tomorrow. Let's see how many viewers we have. Usually we have 3 or 4 viewers every episode. Let's see if we have 5.
Oh, that people in this room.
Yeah.
That's okay.
People in this room plus someone's parent. Something like this.
That's good.
All these guys, all these links from Pawel, his LinkedIn and so on will be on the episode site and episode notes and on the YouTube video on the description. Yeah? So feel free to share, to connect, to engage. Ask Pawel for jobs.
Yeah.
For sure, he needs to hire. So ask.
Everyone
jobs
is
for him.
hiring, right? We
Everyone is hiring. Okay, guys. So this was this episode of this week. So see you next week. I'm Cássio Pereira.
I'm Mark Santos.
Rodrigo Balbino, and
And our guest,
Pawel Pivos, thank you very much.
Pawel Pivos. Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.
Termina aqui DevSecOps. DevSecOps, o seu podcast de segurança em tecnologia.